Imagine breaking your leg 30,000 years before hospitals existed. No ambulance arrived, no doctor smiled, and no nurse said, "Relax." Your tribe simply stared, sighed, and invented healthcare immediately. Prehistoric injury treatment was not magic, but it was surprisingly clever. People who survived wounds passed their knowledge to everyone nearby, because in a small band, every healthy person mattered a lot. Lose one hunter, gatherer, firekeeper, or storyteller, and life became harder. So prehistoric medicine was not a hobby for curious cave nerds. It was survival, teamwork, memory, and sometimes pure, desperate guessing. But how did ordinary people treat pain without pharmacies or textbooks? How did they know which plants helped and which plants made trouble? And what happened when someone got hurt far from camp? Today, we follow one injured prehistoric person through a very ancient problem. A problem every human family has faced since the beginning. Long before cities, people lived in small, mobile groups. They hunted animals, gathered plants, made tools, and watched the weather carefully. Their world was beautiful, but also extremely inconvenient. There were sharp stones, angry animals, slippery rivers, and dramatic tree roots. Basically, nature was a giant obstacle course with no safety signs. A normal day could involve walking, carrying, scraping, climbing, and lifting. Even a tiny mistake could become a serious problem. Prehistoric people did not understand germs like modern doctors do. They could not see bacteria, viruses, or microscopic troublemakers. But they could observe patterns from painful experience. They noticed dirty wounds often became worse than clean ones. They noticed resting helped some injuries, while movement worsened others. They noticed certain leaves soothed skin or reduced swelling. This knowledge came from generations of watching, testing, remembering, and surviving. Their medicine was practical, local, and passed through spoken stories. An elder might remember which bark eased pain after a fall. A gatherer might know which moss absorbed moisture well. A hunter might know how to bind a sprained ankle tightly. A child might learn by watching adults treat everyday cuts. There were no written notes, because writing had not appeared yet. The human brain was the library, and forgetting could be expensive. Surprising fact, prehistoric healthcare was often community healthcare. An injured person was not always abandoned like a broken spear. Archaeologists have found ancient people who survived serious disabilities for years. That means someone brought them food, protection, and daily care. So yes, even Ice Age people sometimes practiced compassion. And honestly, that is more impressive than inventing socks. Now let us meet our ordinary prehistoric hero. He is not a king, because kings have not been invented. He is not a famous warrior, because fame also needs paperwork. He is simply a young hunter, returning from a difficult trip. The group has followed animal tracks across rough ground all morning. Everyone is tired, hungry, and pretending their feet do not hurt. Then he slips on loose stones near a stream. He lands badly and feels sharp pain in his ankle. The group stops, because one slow person slows everyone. What do they do first? They do not perform dramatic cave surgery immediately. They check whether he can stand and move safely. They look at swelling, pain, and whether the limb seems stable. They compare it with past injuries they have seen before. If he can hobble, they help him reach camp carefully. If he cannot, someone may support him or build a simple carrier. That choice matters, because movement can turn trouble into disaster. Back at camp, the first treatment is simple observation. The injured ankle is rested, raised, and protected from further strain. Cold water from a stream may reduce pain and swelling. This was not modern sports medicine, but it was sensible. Sometimes common sense is just science without the fancy name. The group may wrap the ankle with hide, plant fibers, or bark strips. A tight wrap can support the joint during slow healing. But too tight is bad, and prehistoric people learned that too. Pain teaches quickly, even without a medical degree. If they suspect a broken bone, they may use splints. Straight sticks, bark, and hide can hold a limb steadier. The goal is not perfection, but keeping the body aligned. Broken bones found in ancient skeletons sometimes healed surprisingly well. That suggests people knew the value of keeping injuries still. Surprising twist. Some prehistoric bones show healed fractures and long survival. That means injury did not always equal a quick ending. It also means prehistoric people were not helpless cartoons with clubs. They were observant humans solving problems with limited tools. Now imagine a different injury during food gathering. A woman cuts her hand while shaping a stone scraper. Tiny stone flakes are sharp enough to slice very easily. Prehistoric tools were simple, but not harmless. First, someone would likely clean the wound with water. Clean water was not always available, which made location important. They might remove visible dirt, sand, or small plant pieces. Then they could press the wound with hide or clean plant material. Pressure stops bleeding better than panic, even in the Stone Age. After that, they might cover the wound to protect it. Leaves, bark, animal skin, or fibers could become early bandages. Some plants naturally contain chemicals that reduce irritation or slow infection. Yarrow, willow, and other useful plants were known in many ancient cultures. We cannot prove every prehistoric group used the same plants, but we know humans experimented with local plants everywhere. A useful plant became family knowledge after enough successful uses. A dangerous plant became famous for very different reasons. Nobody wants a healer who says, "Oops, wrong leaf again." In colder areas, mosses could help absorb moisture and pad wounds. Sphagnum moss later became famous as an absorbent dressing. Prehistoric people may have used similar materials when available. Tree resins were also useful because they sealed and protected surfaces. Birch tar was used in prehistoric technology as an adhesive. A sticky material could help hold tools, bindings, or coverings together. Was every treatment effective? Absolutely not. Some probably helped. Some did nothing. Some made things worse, because history enjoys being rude. But trial and error slowly shaped better habits. The group remembered what worked after bites, burns, cuts, and falls. Healing was not only about medicine, it was also about food, warmth, rest, and safety. An injured person needed calories for the body to repair itself. They needed protection from cold nights and dangerous animals. They needed someone to watch them while others moved around camp. So prehistoric treatment depended on social cooperation. If the group cared for you, your chances improved. If the group was starving, every decision became painfully difficult. That is the harsh part of ancient life. Compassion existed, but resources were never unlimited. Still, evidence suggests people often helped injured members survive. That tells us something important about being human. We were not only tool makers, we were caretakers. Now let us discuss pain, because pain is very ancient. Prehistoric people had no modern painkillers. However, they had plants, heat, cold, massage, and rest. Willow bark contains compounds related to modern aspirin. People in many places later used willow-like remedies for pain. Did prehistoric people use it exactly like medicine today? No, and we should not pretend they did. But they certainly noticed some plants changed how bodies felt. Warm stones near the body could soothe sore muscles. cold water could calm swelling after a fresh injury. Gentle pressure could help a bruised shoulder or strained back. And sleep, the oldest medicine, was completely free. Unfortunately, prehistoric sleep also included mosquitoes and suspicious noises, so maybe not completely relaxing. Food also mattered during recovery. A wounded person needed protein, fat, and gathered plants. Meat, fish, nuts, roots, berries, and seeds supported healing. If the group had enough food, recovery became more likely. If winter was cruel, even small injuries became dangerous. A broken ankle in summer is bad. A broken ankle during a freezing migration is worse. This is why prevention mattered so much. People learned safe paths, careful tool use, and group movement. They taught children not to grab sharp flakes carelessly. They watched animal behavior before approaching a carcass or trap. They respected fire because fire is helpful but dramatic. A campfire cooks dinner, warms bodies, and also burns fingers. Burns were treated with cooling, covering, and avoiding more irritation. Plants might be used to soothe skin after minor burns. Again, prehistoric medicine was not one universal recipe book. It changed by environment, season, culture, and available resources. Coastal groups knew different remedies than forest groups. Desert groups understood different survival problems than Ice Age hunters. A rainforest healer and tundra healer had very different toolkits. This is why we should say prehistoric medicines, not one medicine. Surprising fact: some ancient people performed skull operations called trepanation. They made openings in skulls using stone tools. That sounds terrifying, and yes, it probably was. But some individuals survived long enough for bone healing to appear. This shows certain prehistoric communities had remarkable surgical skill. However, trepanation was not everyday first aid for everyone. It may have been used for injuries, beliefs, or unknown reasons. So do not imagine every headache got the deluxe skull treatment. Most care was probably much simpler. Clean it, cover it, rest it, support it, feed the patient. That basic pattern appears again and again in human history. Now consider infection, the invisible enemy. Prehistoric people did not know bacteria had tiny villain meetings, but they saw redness, swelling, fever, and weakness after bad wounds. They learned that some wounds smelled worse and healed poorly. They knew flies around wounds were bad news. Keeping a wound covered could reduce dirt and insect contact. Cleaning with water could remove obvious contamination. Plant paste might protect skin or reduce irritation. Smoke may have helped preserve materials and keep insects away, but infections still killed many people. Without antibiotics, a small wound could become a major threat. This made healing uncertain and emotionally difficult. A family might watch someone improve for days, then worsen suddenly. They could try warmth, fluids, rest, and more plant treatments. Sometimes the body won, sometimes it did not. That uncertainty made experienced healers valuable. A healer might be an elder, a parent, or a skilled gatherer. They knew plants, bodies, seasons, and warning signs. They were not modern doctors, but they were not random guessers either. Their authority came from memory and results. If someone survived under your care, people remembered. If someone got worse, people remembered that too. Prehistoric reputation management was harsh and probably very direct. Imagine the village review system, but everyone is your cousin. Dental problems were another ancient nightmare. Teeth could crack from hard foods, grit, or using teeth as tools. Some prehistoric people show worn teeth from tough diets. A toothache could make eating, sleeping, and working miserable. People may have cleaned teeth with sticks, fibers, or chewing materials. They might use plants to soothe mouth pain. In some later prehistoric farming communities, dental problems increased. More starchy foods could contribute to tooth decay, so agriculture brought bread, villages, and exciting new dental misery. Progress sometimes arrives wearing a suspicious smile. Farming also changed injury patterns. Neolithic people lifted heavy loads, cleared land, and worked repetitive tasks. Their backs, knees, and shoulders probably complained loudly. Living near animals also increased certain disease risks. More people living together meant illness could spread more easily. Hunter-gatherer life had dangers, but farming created new ones. Medicine had to adapt as human lifestyles changed. More settled communities could store supplies and care longer, but crowding and waste created health problems too. Every lifestyle solved problems while inventing fresh disasters. That is basically human history in one sentence. Let us clear up a big misconception. Prehistoric people were not stupid because they lacked modern technology. They knew their environments with impressive detail. They could track animals, forecast weather, and identify useful materials. They made stone tools requiring planning, patience, and skill. Their medicine came from that same careful observation. Another misconception says they all died at age 30. Many children sadly died young, which lowered average life expectancy. But adults who survived childhood could live much longer. So prehistoric camps included elders with deep knowledge. Those elders were living libraries with wrinkles and opinions. A grandmother who knew healing plants was incredibly valuable. A grandfather who remembered dangerous hunting spots could save lives. Age brought knowledge, and knowledge helped the group survive. Another strange fact involves disability. Some ancient skeletons show people survived long-term injuries or conditions. They could not have survived alone in harsh environments. This suggests care, sharing, and social bonds were ancient human strengths. Kindness was not invented by civilization. It was already sitting by the fire. Of course, not every group behaved the same way. Prehistory covers huge distances, cultures, and time periods. A treatment in one region might be unknown somewhere else. Archaeologists must be careful when interpreting evidence. Bones reveal healed injuries, but not every bandage or plant survives. Soft materials disappear quickly, especially after thousands of years. So our picture is incomplete. We know some things from bones, tools, residues, and later comparisons, but many voices are gone forever. That mystery makes prehistoric medicine fascinating. It is a story written partly in skeletons and partly in silence. Now return to our injured hunter with the swollen ankle. Days pass, and he cannot join long hunts yet. He helps near camp by fixing tools or watching children. Someone brings him food, water, and news from the trail. The wrap is adjusted as swelling changes. The splint or support is checked for comfort. He slowly tests movement when pain decreases. Too early, and he may worsen the injury. Too late, and the joint may become weak. Nobody uses words like rehabilitation therapy, but gradual return to movement is exactly what he needs. After several weeks, he walks more confidently. The group gains back a worker, hunter, storyteller, and friend. The healing was not magical. It was patience, observation, food, rest, and community. That is the heart of prehistoric first aid. The human body healed, and people helped it happen. Sometimes they helped with plants, sometimes they helped with splints, sometimes they helped by simply staying close. And that may be the most ancient medicine of all. Prehistoric healing reminds us that medicine began before hospitals. It began when one person noticed another person hurting. It began when someone cleaned a wound instead of walking away. It began when a group carried the injured back to safety. These early treatments were imperfect, risky, and often limited. But they were also intelligent, practical, and deeply human. The Stone Age did not have white coats or shiny clinics. It had firelight, memory, plants, water, and worried relatives. And somehow, across thousands of years, enough people survived. They survived long enough to teach children what they knew. Those children became adults and improved the knowledge slightly. Generation by generation, care became culture. Culture became tradition. Tradition eventually became medicine. So the next time you open a first aid kit, remember this. Its oldest ancestor may be a leaf, a stick, and kindness. And if prehistoric people could treat injuries with almost nothing, what other surprising skills have we forgotten from the ancient world?